We decided on a starting quarterback for this week.
We're going to, again, we've got to look at the health of Kyle, and we've got to see where he is today. But to answer your question at this moment, no.
When do you expect during the week for that to be made?
I think we're going to have to, play it by ear and let it be similar to last week. Again, when you have health issues, which quarterback's not the only place we got, those decisions to make, then you can't make those on a Tuesday before you've even practiced.
You talked Sunday about, as the season goes on, giving some young guys a look. Do you anticipate other personnel changes on the field side?
Again, we're gonna look at some young guys again. I think if you just kind of look at the evolution of some of the defensive guys right now, a prime example being Jonathan Jones, Josh Holsey. That's two true freshman starting corners. There's going to be guys like that, both offensively and defensively, that we're going to look at. Again, seeing if they're ready to get on the field and execute. We'd like to work in that direction with some younger guys. But again, today I think we'll start again, evaluating each guy to see exactly if they're ready by Saturday. And if they are, then you could see some younger guys out there.
How are D and Chris doing?
Pardon me?
D and Chris doing?
Day by day. I feel like that's day by day right now, and I think that's going to be kind of another example that we're not going to really know till it could be Wednesday-ish. We'll see where they are. We'll see where they are today, obviously, but by Wednesday we usually have a pretty good idea of where they're going to be headed health-wise by Saturday.
Is Reese in a similar situation?
Yeah, same deal.
Going back to that, Sunday said he knew he was going to start last Sunday. Is there something more to that situation that may be outside of health? If he knew he was going to start like a week out?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Again, when you talk about health issues, I mean, there's some that you have really, really good ideas early in the week, depending on the severity of the injury. But again, you're not at liberty to say, because I'm not a doctor and I'm not qualified to do that. So some are pretty glaring early in the week, some aren't. And all those situations are different.
Coach, Philip was in here. He mentioned the importance of limiting the noise, the outside distractions. How is the team as a whole being able to do that, and how are you personally being able to do that also?
With our football team, we really, when we were 14-0 and we were on that run, we constantly talked about eliminating all of the outside distractions, because there can be outside distractions whether you're doing great or whether you're doing not as well as you certainly would like to be doing. The great thing about college football is everybody's got an opinion. It's the greatest sport. I mean, it's the greatest sport on the planet, and part of what makes it so great in this part of the country is that everybody does have an opinion. When you get into this, if you're not strong enough to handle that, then you're in the wrong business, both as a player and a coach. So for the players, because they're in a different generation, a different time and world, that when they go out and they leave the building, they're going to read and hear everything out there, and we're not going to be able to control that. But it all comes down to the way you process that mentally. And so you have to be strong enough to block out all of the positives when they're telling you how great you are, because you're never that great. And you have to be able to block out the negatives when they tell you how bad you are, because you're never that bad. And so, that's the message that I give to our team on a daily basis. Now, how much they choose to listen and buy into what everybody's opinion is, I can't control that, but I can control it while they're here and try to educate them and teach them that that's the way they do the rest of their life. For me personally, I don't live my life that way. That's just not how I live my life. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what my direction is, and I don't get influenced by the opinions of other people. And that'll never change with me. Now, can I speak for 125 guys when they walk out of this building? No, but I can try to educate them. So I've been through tremendous, fantastic things as a coach in college football. I've been through some valleys. So I understand, how the whole ebb and flow of the nature of a college football season may go, good or bad. But my job is to really help young guys that really, really want to win, and they really, really want to be good, and they want to be the best at their trade. And when there's struggles going on, how to deal with those. And that's my job. So that's what we try to do here, as all of our coaches do. I think most of our kids really hear that and they understand, and I think they learn lessons, because there's a lot of our guys on our team that heard the same story 2 years ago, but it was flipped. So I love our guys. They're trying to battle through a tough time, and we're going to help them do it.
Gene, when Pat Dye goes on the Fine Ball show yesterday, and he says things like he doesn't see things getting any better, he doesn't see Auburn winning another conference game, unless someone steps up and becomes a man at quarterback, we don't stand a chance. There are unsolvable problems on offense. Is that healthy when a former coach goes on the radio like that and talks about a program? Because I don't know how many people respect that opinion, but is that a little, I don't know, I want to say out of line for a former coach to say that?
Coach Dye is a tremendous football coach, was a tremendous football coach, and I've got a lot of respect for Coach Dye, without question. I can't spend a lot of time and energy in deliberation about whether what somebody said, whether it was Coach Dye or whether it was an alumni from 1968 that nobody knows who he or she is. I just don't have, I don't have an opinion on that, because my day when I walk through the door consists of my coaches and my players and the direction that we're headed. I'll go back to what I said before. What makes college football great is that, there's going to be people on the radio, there's going to be people on the TV, and there's going to be people outside now that can say and do whatever they want. It can be public as it can be. And hey, that's great. That's great. But if I concern myself with all of that, then that would suck the energy and the life out of me trying to do a job here that I know that I got to stay concentrated on one thing, trying to keep my coaches and my players on the path of improvement. So I got a high level of respect for Coach Dye. Not really sure what you're talking about. Heard what you said, respect what you said, but I can't spend my time, again, one way or the other with that type of stuff.
Gene, to switch to the pro style offense, you knew it was going to take some time. Did you ever expect it to take this much time to find out even an identity at week 7?
It's been a struggle. There's no question about it. I can't say that I had this magical day that I thought that it was going to all of a sudden be okay. That obviously, for me to stand up here and say that I, am okay with where we are, that's not true. We've got so much improvement to go every which way we can, pretty much in every facet of our offensive game. But to know when it would click, and I can't say that I know that. And to be honest with you, again, that's not something I can really spend a lot of time and energy, worrying about or thinking about. Again, staying kind of on track with where I just was. I got to figure out, we got to figure out as a staff again how to move forward and improve. And really, that's the energy that we use every day we step in the building.
Any other questions?
Is there anything you think that you can do better as a coach to turn the season around?
Me specifically?
Yeah.
I come in here every day and I do all the things within the program that I feel can have an impact on coaches and players. And so, as a coach, that's what I concentrate on every day. And there's numerous things. We can all get better. For me to stand up here and say right now that I'm doing everything right and everybody else is doing everything wrong, that would not be true, and that would certainly not be the right message, because I can improve just as well as everybody else. So again, we're all working in that direction.
Can you talk a little bit about Vanderbilt and I guess the challenges that you face
Yeah, I just think that, as I mentioned about Vanderbilt earlier, I feel like, this is a team that really, you can tell when you turn on the film, they play extremely hard. Offensively, they've got a tailback that's extremely, extremely talented. They have a couple of different wideouts that are very, very good. The quarterback, again, is a guy that can really manage the offense. And then defensively, the thing that's the most impressive about them defensively, it's really been pretty difficult for people to throw the ball up. That's one of the things that stands out. And then just how hard they play defensively is very, very impressive. And again, if you go back and just look at the Florida game from last week, if you look at the final score, I'm not sure what you think, but it certainly was indicative of how the game flowed and how close it really was, against a very, very good football team, as we know. So, again, it's a very good team, and we've got a work cut out for us to go there on an early game on Saturday and beat these guys.
Do you feel that Trey Mason at this point has established himself as your feature back?
Well, I think that he certainly, in the last couple of games, ran the ball extremely, tough. He's ran for some tough yards. I would feel safe to say that we feel very confident in giving him the football and letting him try to get into a groove. But we have some other backs that can run the ball as well too. But he's certainly just the toughness and the physicality he's run the ball with has been very promising.
Were there concerns about durability with him, because we saw just erratic numbers of carries where 1 week it's 22 and then it drops off to 6 or 9 and then comes back to 14?
Well, again, I think we kind of discussed that earlier in the week, that, it just depends on, the defenses that you're given. It depends on the ebb and flow of the game. There's circumstances in the game that you don't want to, that you're trying to, mix up different types of your run game. And, if there's 8 or 9 down in there every time and you don't really feel like you can afford to keep running a tailback up in there with 9 guys, then that's going to deter you from doing that. So it really wasn't a durability factor. It was more of circumstances.
Some things come along with being 1-5. Out in Vegas, you're listed as underdogs this week, going up to Vanderbilt.
Out where? I'm sorry.
Out in Vegas, you're listed as underdogs this week, going up against Vanderbilt. Do you guys feel like underdogs at all within the program this week?
I pay absolutely no attention to that. Zero.
Any other questions? All right, Coach, thank you.
Good, very much.